All right, so get ready because today we are diving deep into a story that is really unsettling. A story that I think perfectly captures the feeling of cosmic horror. Ever look up at the night sky and just think about how vast and how uncaring the universe is? That's the kind of dread we're talking about today, and Lovecraft is the master of weaving that dread into his stories. And the one we're looking at today, The Color Out of Space.
You're absolutely right. He doesn't waste any time getting right into that feeling either. The Color Out of Space
Mm-hmm.
starts off in a really desolate and isolated place, west of Arkham, Massachusetts. It's called the Blasted Heath. It's almost like even before anything weird happens, the setting itself is giving you this feeling of unease, like something's just wrong with this place.
Yeah, like the calm before the storm, right. And he definitely doesn't wait long to introduce that storm because a meteorite crashes right onto the Gardner farm, and this is not your average space rock.
No, not at all. This thing, it's described as feeling strangely soft and warm. Almost like, well, flesh. Even the scientists, the ones who come out from Miskatonic University, even they're baffled. And, get this, as they try to chip away at it, it's almost like it's resisting them.
Oh man, Miskatonic University. I always love how that pops up in his stories. It's like Lovecraft is saying, here's science, these are the supposed experts, and they
Mhm.
are totally out of their depth when they come up against something truly alien.
It's such a great point. Because it highlights the limitations of what we humans can understand, which is a big idea in a lot of Lovecraft's work.
Mm.
But yeah, okay, back to the meteorite. It gets weirder. They discover a colored globule inside it, and Lovecraft really goes out of his way to describe it as unlike anything found in nature.
That's what really gets me,
Yeah.
that he can't even describe the color. It's like he's saying that some things are beyond our ability to even grasp.
And that's what makes this story so creepy. That feeling of the unknown. And this color starts to affect everything around the farm. The plants start growing way too big and take on these weird, unsettling colors. And Lovecraft even uses the word sickly to describe them. It's like this isn't nature just being vibrant. Something is wrong with this.
Yeah, it's like nature is being corrupted by this alien thing. The fruit on the farm is a perfect example of that. It looks amazing, but you can't eat it. All beautiful on the outside, but rotten on the inside. It's like a metaphor for how this color works, how it seems to just seep into everything and twist it.
And it keeps getting worse. The animals get all skittish, and their tracks start to look all messed up, and then the well water gets this horrible taste. Even the insects start acting strange, like coming out at the wrong times of day. It's like this whole ecosystem is being warped and twisted by something nobody can see.
And it's not even just the plants and animals. The Gardner family themselves start to change too. They become withdrawn and isolated and start having these fits of madness. It's like this color is attacking their minds, not just their bodies.
It's just awful.
Yeah.
They are completely trapped in this nightmare. And what happens to them is really just the beginning of what's going to happen on the Blasted Heath.
Okay, well, now you've definitely got me hooked. So, what happens next? How does this cosmic horror start to really affect the Gardners?
Well, it's really awful what happens to them. Like Mrs. Gardner, she starts seeing things, hallucinations, and eventually she can't even speak anymore. Just think about how terrifying that would be, to feel your mind just slipping away like that and knowing that something you can't even understand is destroying you from the inside.
It's like a fate worse than death almost, isn't it? To lose your mind like that, become a prisoner in your own head. That's the kind of psychological horror Lovecraft was so good at. And it's not just her. Two of their sons, Thaddeus and Merwin, they die horrible deaths. When they find their bodies, they're already decomposing and it's like something has been experimenting on them.
Like the color isn't satisfied with just destroying their minds, it has to reshape their bodies too.
Yeah.
And then there's Zenos, the other son. He just vanishes. The only clue anyone has about what happened to him is this one really creepy thing his dad says.
Yeah.
By this point, he's completely out of it, delirious, but he says that he lives in the well.
Oh, that is creepy. It's like the well itself, the thing that should be giving them life, has become, well, sinister, a doorway to something else.
And remember, Amy, the neighbor, he's been watching all this happen, seeing this family and this farm just fall apart, and there's nothing he could do to stop it. But eventually, he realizes he has to do something. So he calls the authorities, hoping that they can figure out what's going on with these deaths. But what they find at the Gardner farm is just, I don't even know how to describe it.
I bet. They probably thought they were dealing with some kind of, I don't know, disease outbreak or something. Not, something from beyond.
They get to the farm, and right away, they can feel that something is wrong.
Mm.
The whole atmosphere of the place is off. Everything is quiet and still. Really unnatural. They find the bodies, what's left of them, and they're horrified. But as they're trying to figure out what happened, that's when things start to get really scary. This strange light starts coming from the well, and it casts these really bizarre shadows all over the farm.
It's like the color itself is getting stronger, more powerful. And not just the light either, right? Lovecraft describes the trees around the well starting to twist and turn and reach up toward the sky like something is pulling them.
This is where that tension Lovecraft builds, just it explodes. He uses all this imagery to show how alien the color is and how it warps and changes everything. And it's not just what they see either. It's this overwhelming feeling that everything is wrong. Like reality itself is unraveling.
And so it's messing with their minds and their bodies and creating this feeling of pure terror, of just being totally powerless against this thing, this unknowable thing. So what happens? Do they try to fight back?
They realize pretty quickly that there is nothing they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, he understands the danger more than anyone. He tells everyone to run. And as they're running, the light from the well gets even brighter, and it casts these crazy long shadows that dance around them. And then the horses, they panic. It's just complete chaos, like something out of a nightmare.
And then the climax of the story. Come on, don't leave me hanging.
The color bursts out of the well. It's this blinding flash of energy and shoots up into the sky like some kind of I don't know, a monstrous firework. And the Gardner farm, the house, the barn, everything, it just disappeared.
Just gone like that.
Yeah, completely gone, wiped off the face of the earth. All that's left is this empty wasteland, a scar on the landscape that shows just how powerful the color is. But here's the scariest part. As Amy looks out over what's left, he realizes that some of the color is still there. It's down in the well, waiting.
Oh, man. That is just chilling. So we're left with this image of the color trapped, but still there. A threat to anyone who goes near the blasted heath, like a monster chained up in the basement or something. You know it's down there, but you can't help but wonder when or if it's going to break free.
Exactly. And that brings up a really important question, one that we're going to look at in the last part of our deep dive. Why is it trapped? What's stopping this crazy, powerful thing that can bend reality from spreading?
All right, well, I am definitely ready to find out. But I think we should take a minute to think about what we've talked about so far. Because this story is so much more than just a scary story. It's about cosmic horror, about our place in this vast universe. Okay, so we've seen how powerful this color is. It can, warp reality and destroy everything it touches, killed a whole family, poisoned the land, left this awful wasteland behind. But the question I keep coming back to is, why is it only in that one spot? Why hasn't it spread and just wrecked everything?
That's the question, isn't it? And Lovecraft, he never really gives us a straight answer. But he does give us some hints, little clues scattered throughout the story that we can use to try and figure out what's keeping this cosmic horror contained.
Yeah.
One of the most interesting clues, I think, is how it got here in the first place, inside a meteorite.
Right. It wasn't just floating around in space. It was inside this rock, this weird fleshy rock.
So are you saying that the meteorite was like a prison? It's a scary thought, right? What if the meteorite was some kind of container, a cage, for something way more powerful than what we see on the farm? Like, what happened to the gardeners in that land was just a tiny bit of its power leaking out, just a taste of what this thing trapped inside could really do.
Okay, I think I see what you're getting at. But why would something that powerful come to Earth in the first place? What was it trying to do?
Well, now we're getting into guesswork. Lovecraft, he always wrote about these ancient, powerful beings. And their reasons for doing things are just, well, they're alien to us. We can't understand them. Maybe it was drawn here by something, some cosmic event. Or maybe he was looking for something specific. Or, and this is really scary to think about, maybe it was an accident. Like our reality bumped into something so far beyond us that we're just ants to it,
So we're back to that idea of the universe not caring about us at all. It's not that it hates us, it exists on a scale we can't even grasp.
Exactly. And that's what makes Lovecraft's writing so disturbing. It makes us think about the possibility that we're not the center of everything, that there are these forces out there that are beyond us.
Okay, but let's talk about the containment thing again. You said there were other hints in the story about what might be holding this entity back.
Yeah, so remember how Lovecraft describes the trees on the blasted heath?
Mm-hmm.
They're always twisting and turning, reaching up, like something's pulling at them, almost like they're feeding the thing in the well.
Yeah. That image comes up a lot in the story. Those creepy trees reaching up to the sky. It's beautiful, but also really disturbing. They're attracted to the color and repulsed by it at the same time. So wait, are you saying the trees are what's keeping it here?
Maybe. What if the things that seem most affected by the color are actually what's keeping it contained? Like, what if they're a living barrier stopping it from spreading?
Whoa. That is a freaky thought. The victims are actually the protectors. It's like a paradox. It's like all of Lovecraft's work, you know? The universe is vast and we don't understand it, and the things that scare us might be the things that are keeping us safe.
It makes you feel pretty small, doesn't it? We like to think we're in charge, that we get how things work. But the color out of space is a reminder that there are things out there that we just don't get. And sometimes the best we can do is try to live alongside them, even if it means living with the knowledge that they could destroy us at any moment.
That is a heavy thought to end on. But before we leave everyone to think about the blasted heath and everything, there's one last thing I want to bring up. What if the color isn't evil? What if it's just different? Maybe it's just trying to survive, to adapt to our world in the only way it knows how. And what would happen to us if it figured out how to do that?